Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 on a Twitter handle. You know that off by heart by now, or you should. And I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay, his Twitter handle, and you're getting to know that. Hopefully you've joined in and tuned into Ryan's Twitter feed at times. Very good it is as well. And morning, Ryan. It's Wednesday the 7th of June, isn't it? I always have to check that, but yeah, There we go. Is that a wonderful Wednesday where you are, Ryan?
Yeah, it's not too bad. The weather's a wee bit, it's a wee bit cloudy today. But yeah, it's not too bad. It could be better, could be worse.
A bit like Celtic, eh? Indeed, the
absolutely.
situation. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, we do this every morning, and we encourage you to subscribe to the Celtic Way. If you have taken out a subscription already, we say thank you very much. It means a lot to us. But looking along the strap line at the bottom, you'll see running along the ticker tape. If you subscribe to the Celtic Way website, you can help support top quality journalism covering the club you love, and it's all for the click of a button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Thank you for that. Thank you guys for all your comments yesterday when with a bit of a technical glitch here, Ryan. But hey, we'll move on.
Touch wood, that does not happen again today.
Yeah, I stopped short of singing the elevator music to the public, Ryan. That probably wouldn't have been a good thing. But hey,
is there any words to that?
No idea.
Just a wee jingle.
I'm just going to pluck a song out there and just start singing it, for entertainment value. But there you go. Anyway, guys, Celtic officially on the managerial hunt. Ange Postecoglou signed a 4-year deal with Tottenham Hotspur yesterday. All sorts of names in the frame. We did say it would be a kind of like Groundhog Day, Ryan, for the next few weeks. We've got managers ruling themselves in, ruling themselves out, all that kind of stuff. The latest, Kjetil Knutsen from Bodo Glimt. All sorts of talk that Ajax are talking to him. There was even talk last night that Celtic had opened up discussions. But he sort of said he wasn't ready or prepared to leave Bodo Glimt in mid-season. Up to Celtic to change his mind on that, isn't it, Ryan? If that's the case. Lots of managers say that and end up leaving mid-season. Brendan Rodgers did it. Ange Postecoglou did it with Yokohama F. Marinos. So it can happen. And I think there's a growing groundswell of opinion, Ryan, that Knutsen is the one that lots of Celtic supporters want. He's high on the list.
I think he ticks a lot of boxes, I would say, in terms of the sort of realistic option. The fact that we've seen him in action up close and personal at Celtic Park, they were one of the first sort of teams to come to Celtic Park under Ange Postecoglou, and you came out thinking they were the better team. And it's not often you said that under his guidance. But Knutsen's Bodo Glimt were really, really impressive in those two legs. I know the second leg was a bit of a dead rubber. I think Celtic kind of threw that game because they knew that they had bigger fish to fry in the league, and they didn't want the pile up of fixtures, or they didn't want players to get injured when they had so much on the line in the league. So, but especially the home game. The home game, they ran over the top of Celtic. It was actually quite uncomfortable to watch. Celtic just did not look comfortable playing against them at all. The players like Boniface, I think it was let me think, who else was in their team? Ola Solbakken. It's the guy we always seem to mention.
Yes.
We probably mentioned him more times than Roma have since he joined there in January. But he seems to get the best out of that group of players, and as the league table shows in Norway just now, they're kind of running away with the league this season. So maybe if Celtic came in for him, they wouldn't be as averse to him going, because they've got such a sizable league, or the sizable lead at the top of the league table. It's one of those ones. If the offer is good enough, I think he would come. If he was given certain assurances that he would be able to sort of mould the team into his own style, then I think you've got to ask the question. If you don't buy a ticket, you won't win the lottery. So
it's always my thoughts on these matters, Ryan. Go and ask the question, make him tell you why he's not coming or he can't come. And I think he sort of spoke to. He hasn't ruled himself out of anything, has he? He just sort of said that he didn't want to leave Bodo Glimt in mid-season because I think they're homing in on the title, aren't they? So there's all sorts of variables in that deal, but Celtic have to. I'm always saying people are persons of interest, Ryan. This guy's a person of interest in terms of the manager. So I think you have to have that chat. Other names kicking about, Graham Potter obviously as well, and the favourite changes on a hourly basis, Ryan, considering where the money's going. It was Brendan Rodgers, then it was Enzo Maresca, then I think Knutson became favourite for a couple of minutes as well, just because people were putting money on it. We will talk managerial candidates because it's going to not so much drag on, but I mean, it's Celtic are now, they issued a statement yesterday saying that they'll try and get the best possible candidate for the job to replace Ange. But we also know, Ryan, with the new manager going and a new manager coming in, other personnel will leave. And John Kennedy has said that he wishes to join Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham. He made his feelings known about that yesterday. So John Kennedy could also be leaving. But as we spoke briefly yesterday about it, it might be a good thing because any new manager coming in can then bring his own staff, that kind of thing. And also, there will be players moving on. But we're not naive to think that the Celtic are going to keep that whole squad together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see Fabrizio Romano is basically an owl or a vampire, one of the two. He still operates at night, dropping Matt O'Reilly transfer rumours at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is absolutely ridiculous. The guy should get a bit of a break and a bit of a rest, I think. I don't know if there's maybe more than one Fabrizio Romano running that account, but that's a conversation for another day. But I don't think it's naive to suggest that there will be movement this summer. Just towards the fact that, yes, Ange Postecoglou has left, but a lot of the players have been there 2 seasons, maybe some of them even longer than 2 seasons, that want to leave the club. They'll have been there before Ange Postecoglou, and they might want to move on to pastures new. They might want to try something different, whether that's to get to play at a better level or to play more games, just in general. It's going to be an interesting summer because I think there'll be players that will stay around until a new manager's appointed. They'll kind of gauge what's happening in pre-season and then maybe make their move. But it's going to be interesting to see how a new manager accommodates all the players, especially some of the players that are maybe more suited to Postecoglou's style of play. I look at guys that have been specifically brought in to play a position, such as Maeda, such as Iwata. You could actually name all the Japanese players because they were brought in by Postecoglou. That was the pull factor for them, I guess, apart from the fact that they were playing in Europe. The fact that Postecoglou was there, he would work with them and he was a familiar face. So it'll be interesting to see how a different manager coming in will be able to accommodate these players if he does, and if not, where they go. Because I think it'll be a really busy summer, both in and out for Celtic.
Yes, very much so. And so I saw that Fabrizio Romano piece on Matt O'Reilly. I was just playing Celtic player bingo, Ryan, and in a kind of Bob Marley style, are we talking exodus, movement of the players this summer? And how many will that be? Obviously, Hugo's going to get linked with a move to Tottenham, isn't he? Because Ange made him his first signing when he came here. There's also the kind of question marks over Harry Kane still being at Spurs. Spurs would need a goal scorer. People putting 2 and 2 together and seeing that Ange would probably try and come for Kyogo, possibly Hatate as well, and maybe even Cameron Carter-Vickers. Not to put too fine a point on it, Ryan, there's all sorts of rumours flowing about that vortex exactly, and we're not trying to be doom and gloom. We're just trying to sort of see where we think we're at. The great thing for this with Celtic is that they're all on long-term deals, so they'll cost a fortune to prize them away from the club. But also you've got to ask yourself as well, was the lure of playing for Celtic and working under Ange what kept those players there, and will a new man coming in be able to keep those players at Celtic Park? I mean, it is going to be, as you say, it's shaping up to be a hugely significant summer for Celtic in terms of getting a new manager in and a potential mini rebuild, Ryan, possibly, with ins and outs.
Maybe not a rebuild, but I would say a refresh. Just a refresh on the ideas that Ange Postecoglou is sort of implemented while he was at Celtic. I think if you're wanting to do that, then a manager like Knutson would be great because he plays a 4-3-3 as well as our former manager. It's kind of weird to say former manager, but that's just the way it is now. If we bring in a manager that plays the exact same system, then that makes things a lot more easier in terms of adjustment. I remember when Bodo Glimt did play against Celtic, it was like two of the same styles matching off against each other. The only difference was you could tell that Bodo Glimt were 2 or 3 years into the project, whereas Celtic were 6 or 7 months in. And that really showed in the two legs, I would say, especially the home leg, because we were all there and we all bared witness to what was essentially a harm at home. I know it was 3-1, but it felt like more than that. If we were to bring in Knutson, I know we've been mentioning his name quite a lot in the opening 10 minutes of this briefing, but if we were to bring him in, it would certainly leave a lot of the adjustment, or it would make a lot of the adjustment easier for the players, as they wouldn't need to learn a new system. They would only need to learn certain facets of a new system, but the formation would stay the same. So I think it's important that we do bring in a manager that interests these players at the start of the club, but is also an attractive manager for new players coming through the door as well.
Correct. Now, we have got lots of comments. Again, the comment section filling up nicely. So I'm going to read some of them out and just kind of everybody having their say on things Celtic and, you know, managers, player-wise, everything. So first up, Colin McGinnis. Morning, Colin, how you doing? Knutson, for me, they look like the team that Celtic wanted to be, and for no money. Guys obviously got talent and can push players to the next level. I agree with that. I said that looked like a team that was Celtic under Ange a couple of years down the line. Paul Byrne, talking about Ange, will go for Kyogo. Morning, Paul, how are you? Michael Ross, Ajax are in talks with Knutson, so we need to hurry up as he would be perfect. Yep, Michael Ross again. Knutson's the man. Indeed. Tim and on. Morning, Tim. Morning, guys. Regarding players leaving, it's going to happen. Who and for how much is a question. This squad will break up for sure. That's what I'm thinking. Is this the end of this era, this cycle, Ryan? Is it the breakup of the squad, do you think?
I think the cycle keeps going, but the players will change. As long as we bring in players that are of a similar profile, similar quality as well, that can consolidate our league position. Because at the end of the day, I know we talk about Europe and our progression in Europe. I think we need to drop back a wee bit. I think we need to make sure that the league is in order for that next season, because there's always worries when you bring in a manager. There's no guarantees that a manager will come in and just automatically win the league. There is no formality. So it's important that we do get our house in order. If we get a manager through the door, we keep some of our best talents. We maybe sell some of our talents that could get us good money that will fund players that want to play for a new manager. I'm looking at maybe guys. Maybe O'Reilly could be one of those players. Abada could be another one. These are assets that could maybe be sold to fund a sort of refreshing of the squad. So yeah, it will be interesting. It's just all up in the air at the moment until we get until we get a solid link on who's coming through the door. It's all speculation. So that's the reason why we talk about different names every day, it seems. Because there is no. I'm pretty sure Celtic are drawing up a shortlist just now. If they haven't already done, I would expect them to do that over the course of a season. But if they're maybe finalising their list of names to talk to, then we should hear stuff in the next couple of days, I would hope. I follow a journalist on Twitter, Alan Nixon, who was saying that Celtic were getting their shortlist together of people to speak to. So it'll be interesting to see how that materialises over the couple of days, because time is of the essence. I know that we don't have any qualifiers to negotiate, but a pre-season tour, a pre-season's a great time for a new manager to come in and implement his philosophies if they are different from the previous manager. So, you know, this time could easily be used on the training ground, and I want our time in pre-season to be used well in preparation for the new season, because we'll be fighting on all fronts.
But very much so, yeah, I agree with all of that. Right. More comments. David Ferguson, has Knutson already been started up? No, he's not. Danny coming in, Knutson has pulled out. No, he hasn't. He's just sort of said that he's unwilling to maybe quit Bodo Glimt in mid-season, but that doesn't mean to say he won't come. Kaiser, other names don't fill me with ambition, but Knutson does. He will maintain the same brand of training in football, if not better, and do something in Europe. We've been speaking about that the past couple of days, Ryan. Manchester Toboggan MD says every appointment is an element of risk. We can reduce that risk by substantially by getting all the other background aspects correct, scouting, training, budget facilities, etc., etc. Brian Roberts coming in. Morning, Brian. How you doing? More worried about players leaving. Jerry O'Rourke. Morning, Jerry. Let's hope it doesn't turn into another Eddie Howe farce.
I don't think it will.
We don't think it will. Indian Bone Singer coming in. Morning, how you doing? We want our managers to get it and believe we're a club like no other. Then when they leave, they're gutted. Is the romance of football? Is this the romance of football? Do we need to be more pragmatic? I think it's a bit of both there. Coming on, Matt O'Reilly's in Denmark with the national team. The full cap increases his value immensely. Not that I want him to leave. Don't think any Celtic will want any other players to leave, but just a harsh reality, isn't it? 2 to 3 leaving is more or less the norm every year. So as long as it's not a massive exodus, Celtic will be fine. Who's news? Jota will definitely go. There was a moment on Saturday, wasn't there, with a big hug with Jota and the manager. So people read a lot into that. Christy O'Connor, Calmac will keep them all on the ball. And all comments coming in. I'm just going to try and read a few more. Jerry McCann saying he doesn't think that Cameron Carter-Vickers would go back to Spurs. And Sean Malloy coming in says all depends on who the manager is. If it was Moyes, and he hopes not, his type of football would be a rebuild bigger than the one that Ange completed. So
I think the thing about Moyes, and good luck about him, and good luck to him tonight in his match against Fiorentina. I hope he does it for West Ham, obviously. Former Celtic player, so I hope he does well in that tonight. But the thing about Moyes, and I think it's a question mark or sort of an asterisk put next to his name for years. He doesn't seem to get the best out of Flair players. Players like Scamacca and Paqueta, who both signed for big fees last summer for West Ham. They've both been in and out of the squad all season. He seems to work better with maybe British-based players or maybe less technical players. I don't know if you can put the two and two together. Yes, I know there's some really talented British players in their team, but when Celtic have a really sort of diverse team full of technical players, I think if he was to join, I think he would struggle to get the best out of players like Jota and Hatate, etc. So I think I'd want to steer clear of that. I think he'd be a safe pair of hands, but at the same time, I don't think he would get the best out of the current squad. I think he would need to do a rebuild.
Yeah, more comments coming in. I'll read them here. Right, Kirsty O'Connor. Morning, Kirsty. How you doing? Very valuable contributor. As long as they bring the passion, the rest will sort itself out with the fan base and the club that we have. Kevin Malley says O'Reilly would be a good one to cash in on. For me, you've got everything. Everything has got to be perfect with them. Need more direct and powerful players. Scott McGill saying if it's anything like a recent transfer policy, we should already have a replacement manager in line to take up the role. Plunge McNugget throws in this one. This appeared in one of the papers, didn't it? Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna. I think you tweeted about that last night, didn't you, Ryan?
I did.
And you back in. On you go, sorry, on you go.
If you watch BT Sports Score or Soccer Saturday and you watch the goals go in, especially in League One last season, I know they're in the Championship now, it seemed as if every 5 minutes Ipswich were scoring goals. There is one thing that Kieran McKenna's teams guarantee you, and that is goals. 121 goals in all competitions last season. Not bad going for League One. Worked under some of the best managers in football in terms of Jose Mourinho. Worked there as a coach at Man United. 38 years old. It's one of those ones. It would definitely be a project. But I feel like a lot of our scouting, our managerial scouts, or players that have been touted with the role have been projects. These managers are projects until they make it. Unfortunately for us, sometimes it feels as if once a manager has made it, then they're out of our reach. So it's all about getting that timing.
Yep. And then Bonesinger saying, morning boys, next appointment will really show how Celtic have changed as a club. Will Celtic still do the early window signings that Ange was afforded? That's a really good point as well, getting business done early. Celtic did that under Ange. The good thing is that Celtic have valuable assets that are all on long-term contracts, so they'll be rewarded if they do move on, and then Celtic will have the money and buy the quality to replace them, says Derek Crawford. That's what we spoke about earlier. And Alan Woods is saying he hopes that Dermot Desmond is still angry and will throw a lot of money and resource at this. And P. O'Neill just asked, what's Knutson done in his career? It's a fair comment, I suppose, but I think most people kind of based it off the fact that Bodo Glimt dismantled Celtic, didn't they, in the Europa Conference League, and were very impressed by the the way they went about their business and the players that they had at their disposal.
Yeah, and they've done the same to Roma as well. I think they beat them 6-1 in one of the games. I know Roma had a bit of a weakened squad, but you still get beat. I mean, the amount of when you look at the squads that you put in the Conference League or you put in a European squad, you can't rotate the team that much. It's not as if you can throw in youngsters, 11 youngsters in the team. You have to have some mix of first team players as well, just for the quota. But yeah, they totally dismantled Jose Mourinho's Roma team, which was interesting to watch. So yeah, and it looks as if he's going to win his third Norwegian title. So he's got good stock, and for me, it's just all about that philosophy as well. Yes, he's used to winning football matches in Norway, but it's that attacking philosophy that he's got, the 4-3-3, the pressing, the playing out from the back, from the goalkeeper. It's one that would be an absolute yes for me if he was to get approached for the job. I think Celtic should make him one of their priorities, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Here's a question from Indian Bone Singer. Is this the first time Celtic have lost a manager and they don't want wholesale changes of the squad? It's certainly one of the first times that I can remember.
I'd maybe see when Lennon got the job permanently. I didn't want to see guys like Edward leave. I didn't want to see Kieran Tierney leave, but he left. Christopher Ayer. Apart from that, I can't really think of another one because the squad's so strong. And usually when a manager leaves, it's because the squad hasn't been doing well. So we're in a unique situation.
Alan was just saying he'd like the board to interview everyone that they can in the next couple of weeks and have the new guy in by July the 1st. That feasible, Ryan, do you think?
I would hope it'd be a bit earlier than that, to be honest. 1st of July, I mean, that's nearly a month of interviews. I'd want us to get our manager sorted in the sort of next week or two. I think time is of the essence, and Spurs have went and shown. I know it's debatable whether Spurs are a big club. They are a big club in terms of the Premier League, but they've went out and got a manager within 2 days. Or maybe they've been talking to Postecgolou for a couple of weeks. But look at the time difference between the end of the cup final and Postecgolou getting the job at Spurs. Celtic could do that if they put their money where their mouth is. Celtic could go and just employ a manager just like that. Like I said yesterday, you shouldn't need to convince any managers to join Celtic. Celtic should just be one of these clubs that you just join because it's such a great opportunity. I think it's one of the standout jobs at the moment. I talked about this yesterday as well. It's one of the standout jobs in world football at the moment. Playing in the group stages of the Champions League, strong team. The fans are very much on side. The fans have backed the season ticket renewals. I think there's so much upside with it all. So yeah, I think it should be a quick process, or that's the way it should be. But you know how these things work.
Now, there's another name, Ryan, that comes up as well, and it's from Australia, and it's Kevin Muscat. Try that again, Kevin Muscat, former Rangers player. Lots of people saying that he knows Ange inside out and plays similar style of football. Is that a no-no for you because of the Rangers connection, or are you willing to see what something like that could offer if Celtic were to go down that route?
I'm willing to listen to the sort of arguments for and against, to be honest. I only played a season for Rangers. We've had players that have played for Celtic and Rangers, so I mean, it's obviously a different sort of proposition with a manager coming through the door that's played for Rangers. I don't think we've had that sort of situation before. Try to go through my history book in my head. I don't think that's been the case. It would definitely be a first. But if you're looking for, I think the one thing you would say, if you're looking for continuity, then he is the current Yokohama manager. He was Postecoglou's replacement. He does play sort of a similar brand of football. He also won the league title in Japan as well, which was good going for him. He'd also know how to get the best out of players such as maybe Maeda, especially Iwata, because he played Iwata in his sort of MVP winning season. So if you're wanting a guy that will get the best out of the Japanese players in particular, then Muscat would maybe be one of the players or one of the managers or individuals that you would look at. But there's always going to be that question mark, and it's a very, very difficult sell because he is managing in Japan, and the fact that he did play for Rangers, so it is an interesting one. But I would listen to the positives and negatives, but it wouldn't be one of my first choices for sure.
Sure. Steve McGrory comes in. Morning, Steve. How you doing? Knutson has won 2 out of the last 3 Norwegian titles on a low budget. Is on course for another one this season. He's also punched above his weight in Europe. At least ask the question. I'm all on board with that, Steve. Ask the question. Get them to say why they can or they cannot come. So there you go. And Kevin Malley says Muscat is a good old Glasgow word. Heap case, not for me. So there you have it.
I think he was as a player. I've seen all the clips of him as a player. Some of his tackles were absolutely horrendous. They'd probably get you a week in the jail if you'd done that nowadays in football. He's one of those players that would have, if he was still playing, if his sort of age permitted it, if VAR get introduced when he was playing, he would retire on the spot. That's him. He wouldn't get away with anything anymore. He'd do on the pitch probably a matter of 2 minutes. He was an absolutely mental footballer. But I think he's mellowed as a manager. I've listened to a couple of interviews that he's done, and he's really well spoken. He's a confident guy. He knows what he's talking about, and his teams play good football. So yeah. I don't think he's the worst candidate on the list. That's something I would say, but there'll always be question marks with regards to his history.
Just playing devil's advocate on that, Ryan. That was all. Blinds Bat says he would take Muscat. Stephen King Kenny were Rangers men. Yeah, they certainly were. Michael Ross saying Knutson seems to be the fans' choice. I think he's certainly my choice and your choice. Also, we spoke about Graham Potter. Knutson and Graham Potter would be 2 people of interest. Knutson's my first choice, then Graham Potter, sliding scale from there, Ryan. But everybody has different opinions, doesn't he? Nicholas McDaid. Zinedine Zidane is a Scottish granny and loves Celtic apparently, so he wants Zinedine Zidane.
Could have told us that about 30 years ago, so he could play for the national team as well.
Sugarman says Iniesta, former teammate of Kyogo, and Chilpel.
I don't even think he can speak English.
Chilpel presents says Muscat is completely different now.
That's sometimes what happens. It happens sometimes with players.
And then Derek Crawford, when someone is a fan's choice, it never happens. Let's be honest. Don't know. I think Brendan Rodgers was a fan's choice when he got appointed first time.
He definitely was. Yeah, he was the standout name. I think we managed to get that.
And obviously, Brendan's been linked with that return as well. Lots of people. Danny come in and saying Zidane's bought a flat in the Gorbals. Hey, that's it. It's a done deal, Ryan. Sorted. Zidane's the man.
Get Fabrizio on the phone. Here we go. He's bought a flat in the Gorbals.
Yeah, he'll tell us that about 3 a.m, won't he?
He'd be able to hold his own in Glasgow for sure, Zidane.
Yeah, and Michael Ross is also saying Martin O'Neill was a fan's choice back then as well. So, yeah, I think those 2 managerial appointments met with the fans' approval, and they were certainly high on the fans' list when they were both appointed, Martin O'Neill and Brendan Rodgers. Jerry McCann saying, where's Jerry McCann? Just flicked up very quickly there. Plunging Nugget, can we have Rodgers and Loyal in the same building? That remains to be seen. As Jerry said, I think Celtic could do a lot worse than bringing back Brendan Rodgers. But I think we were talking about players moving on, Ryan. I think a lot of this hinges on who comes in, doesn't it, as the manager?
Mm-hmm. I would say is that
assess them and work with them, won't he, first and foremost, and give them his chat and his spiel and see what they're offering. But again, these guys are tied down to long-term deals. I mean, Kyogo's got another couple of years left, hasn't he? Jota's got another couple of years left. So if they go, they're going to go for plenty of money, aren't they? That's the upside to it all, I guess.
It's good that we've covered ourselves in that regard, so that if they do leave, we'll get the cash required to buy adequate replacements if and when they do leave the club, because it's not unrealistic to assume that in a couple of years a lot of these players will leave the club. That's part of the model. Postecgolou was talking about the aggressive transfer policy. I don't think that will go away under a new manager. I think in order for Celtic to maximise their sort of profits and maximise the playing squad by improving them season on season, we need to let go of players. We can't stockpile players year upon year. We've got to sell players at their optimum in order to bring in fresh talent, because that's the thing. If you want to do a rebuild, you can't have the same players around, even if they're really, really good players. Just sometimes for freshness, you need to bring new players in. It'll be interesting to see, especially for players that maybe thought that their time was up at Celtic. I'm not sure about Turnbull, but if somebody was to come in and maybe he would be reinvigorated and he'd maybe want to stay, it's brought up that sort of what if sort of scenario for a lot of players. A lot of players will be like, okay, so I was on the way out because Postecoglou was in charge, but he's gone, so maybe I sort of make an impact in the first team next season. It's an interesting prospect, but it's all up in the air just now until we know who is going to be the new manager of Celtic. I think the players probably know first before everyone else, and then they'll be able to gauge that and gauge where their futures are in the summer.
Peter G, Tony, if players want to move the times, no manager is going to keep them happy. Agree with that. Remember that season when Ayer and the rest wanted away? Yes, as Sean Martin referred to it, the season that shall remain nameless. Yes, so I agree with all that. Yeah, I just think that any new manager will want to come in and certainly speak to the squad. But again, you look at it, if like Ange Postecoglou and players' heads are out the door, then I guess you can't keep them. And Michael Ross says Celtic don't need a rebuild. Not talking about a rebuild, we're talking about players that could potentially leave the club. And as Ryan says there, everything is really up in the air until they find out who will be taking them forward. Enzo Maresca's also been mentioned, Ryan. We spoke about him, didn't we, yesterday? And
the name hasn't gone away. It's not going away.
Yes. So that's correct, which is why I brought him up. But yeah, I as we spoke about at the top of the programme, it's all speculation and conjecture, but we'll have to expect that this is going to take these forums over the coming days, possibly maybe weeks, Ryan, because until Celtic get in a new man, then everything will sort of happen from then on, won't it?
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it's not weeks, it's more days than weeks, and we've got more concrete sort of evidences who's in the running to become the Celtic manager, because at the moment you're just refreshing all these betting sites, seeing if there's any clues to be made. I remember when the Eddie Howe deal broke, it was almost instantly, like it was like half an hour later, Ange Postecoglou's name started really rising up, and it showed how quickly the board were moving in order to get him through the door. So you do get a couple of hints with regards to looking at these betting sites, but we need something concrete. I feel like every second that we're spent talking about this is another second that a new manager could be in, getting transfer targets sorted. He could be working with Mark Lowell in order to tell him what he needs in the team. So it's just one of those ones where I'm just hoping that Celtic get the ball moving and get their short list sorted, and they start interviewing candidates, because time is of the essence, as I've said before, and next season will come along really, really quickly, and you want a manager to be settled and knowing what he's doing.
Yeah. Paul Burns saying any player not committed to the club should be allowed to leave. New manager, new regime, new mindset. Totally agree with that. PPG says he's just worried that Ange will come back for the likes of Jota, Anthony Johnson, Matt O'Reilly, and Rio Tati. It's not beyond our with the realms of possibility, is it, Ryan? But again, we've tied these guys down on very secure deals, so it would cost a pretty penny to move them and prize them away from Celtic Park.
I guess you'll see how good these players really are, or how good Postecoglou thought these players were, depending on if they get linked with a place at Spurs or not. Now I know the level's completely different down south, and a lot of players won't be able to sort of make that move. But it will be interesting to see if some of our players or some of our stars from last season and the season before do make that move down south. I'm looking at guys. I think Alistair Johnson is a good point in terms of a right back for Spurs. Spurs have had problems with the full back areas for years, it seems. I think he's a sort of guy that would go down there and instantly plug a hole. So, yeah, he's a player that I think he, out of all the players that have been linked with leaving, he's a player that one of the ones that I'd be most desperate to stay. Him and Carter Vickers, they're the spine of that defence, and we'd want them to stay. I think you're looking at guys maybe like, as I've mentioned before, Matt O'Reilly, Abada, maybe even Kyogo, as much as I wouldn't want to lose Kyogo. If Kyogo's going to move, it'll be this summer because of his age. He's 28 years old. If he wants to make that plunge down south, now is the time, because if he doesn't, he'll be too old. And you know the way these English teams work, they won't sign somebody older. They lose their value. It's kind of like the same with wingers as well. After a certain age, you just won't get those moves anymore. So if he's going to move, it'll be the summer. But I'd love Kyogo to stay around. I think everyone would, and become that Celtic legend that we think that he could become if he stays for another 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in, so I'll take some more of them, Ryan. Guys just sort of throwing that tuppence worth. I'll just throw them in. Patrick McLaughlin, Hatate and Kyogo may end up at Spurs. Can't see anyone else playing in the English Premier League at the moment. We talked of Celtic, why is he saying? So we shall see, won't we? Now, where are we? Here I am. Megan Horn saying, morning Megan, how you doing? Kyogo will stay. I think he loves it at Celtic. Yep, he does love it at Celtic, but hey, things can change as we saw overnight. Alistair Johnson is the only one I'm worried about, says Stevie Boy. He fancies being enough for a 3-year deal. Let's see if he comes in for him. And AR saying, is Maresca the cheap option? If so, then it's a ton deal. Pete McGee saying he can't see Kyogo coping with the physicality of English Premier League defenders. Edward Wyavos saying, pundit saying Jota and Kyogo might not cut it at Spurs. Paul Burns saying O'Reilly to Brighton. So there you go, just depends on what, I mean, this is just going to run and run, isn't it, Ryan, until we get a new manager in place and things start moving. As you say, the ball rolling on that front. But we have to speak about these things, don't we? We can't ignore them. And
still Celtic news at the end of the day.
Yes. So yes, but we're keeping our eye across everything, and we hope that Celtic can bring in a new manager and replace Ange Postecoglou quickly enough to, as you say, got lots of things to embark upon. They've got the tour as well. We'd like to think somebody would be in situ for that. Here's one. Mr. Wiz coming in. Go for Maldini as manager. He's available now and he loves Celtic. Does Paolo Maldini love Celtic? Or did he just say he loves
sure.
I think he just said he loved playing at Celtic Park, didn't he? But yeah, it's uncertain, isn't it, Ryan? No,
yeah, in terms of a director of football, I'd probably take Maldini in. He was the director of football at AC Milan. What's happening at AC Milan is a bit of a nightmare because they'd actually planned talks. Maldini had planned talks with some players that were signing ahead of next season, but he had to cancel them because he got sacked.
Yes,
so
that's right.
He was left up in the air. So it's a mental sort of scenario for him. But do you know what? If all roads lead to Celtic Park for Paolo and Maldini, he could probably pull the boots on and then do a job at the back as well, to be fair.
Robert Gibson, at least we have plenty to speculate on over the summer. I guess there is that point as well. It's if Maldini signs, nobody leaves. There you go. Is that the new mantra? If Maldini signs, nobody leaves. Is that it?
That's the thing. I always remember him saying, "If I have to make a tackle, I've made a mistake."
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be tackling transfer targets or players trying to leave the club. I can just imagine him in the boardroom, just at the door. You're not leaving.
The Celtic bandwagon will roll on whoever comes in. That's very, very true. And so we do have lots to talk about, but it's going to occupy our thoughts. And I'll just put this one in. Regular contributor Lanky, best pal passed away last night and he's gutted, but life continues. Very sorry to hear that, Lanky, and I think a lot of the commenters are coming in. Everybody from the Celtic Way passes on their condolences to you. Hope you're bearing up, but thank you for coming on to the show and contributing despite your sad news. And I think a lot of commenters are passing on their condolences as well. So good luck to you, fellow. Hope everything's all right. Take care.
A lovely community as well.
Aye, without a doubt, it's that's what we've built here, Ryan. It's well, over the past couple of years, and we throw our arms around people who are struggling in terms of sadness or whatever. So yeah, definitely. So all the best, Lanky. Hope everything's okay and you're feeling all right. But thanks for that, for coming on and contributing and being part of your Celtic community. As you see, they're throwing their arms around you and giving you big hugs. So no problem at all. Take care, as they say. But yeah, it's as much as we said on Monday, Ryan, that it was an exciting time. There's also that kind of abyss at the minute, isn't there? You're just kind of, you're staring completely into nothing, that void at the minute, and we just sort of want it to all be resolved. And I know Celtic board issued a statement yesterday saying they're going to try and get the best possible candidate for the job. Here's hoping that they do that.
Yeah, I think they've put a bit of pressure on themselves for that statement. I hope that they do bring out the best candidate. Obviously, you'll never be privy to the sort of shortlist or the exact shortlist that comes out. I'm sure that Celtic will keep that very much in house, or you would expect that to be the case. But yeah, if it does take a bit of time, if it does take a week or so to get the best candidate through the door, then that's fine, because despite the fact that pre-season will be coming round before we know it, we don't have qualifiers to negotiate. So, we don't need to rush into an appointment. It doesn't need to be like a last-minute appointment before pre-season starts. I remember when Postecgolou got brought in, it was Gavin Strachan and John Kennedy that were taking the training to begin with. Yeah. That's how late the appointment was. I know he obviously had to go through his badges, and then he had to go through isolation as well, I'm sure. We're not in that situation. It's good that the world has sort of reverted back to a sort of semi-normal state, that if we bring somebody in, we can act swiftly and get things rolling a lot quicker. I just hope that for the good of the club and for the good of the sustained success, because Celtic are in a really, really good place at the moment, despite the manager leaving, that a manager can come on and just ride the crest of this wave that we're going just now, because it's all positive just now. Despite Postecoglou being out of the building, we still get the treble. I think that's got to be underlined. We've got domination in the Scottish game. If we bring in a manager that can maybe even improve on that, I know it'll be difficult, but if we can get a manager that can improve on things, then I think we'll be in a pretty good place come next season.
Kaiser's optimistic. Can before the storm, Tony. Celtic appoint a new boss and go and win the Champions League. Laugh out loud. Pete G, let's get Nixon. I fancy we could come up with some cracking songs about that name. They probably could. And 420 somewhere, agree with you, Ryan. Treble chances, Champions League group stage. Mind the gap. Hail, hail, he says. And JJ McGavry saying the two of us, or three of us, including Aidan, will need to take a break until there is concrete news of players and managers, as we'll all be driven nuts with the rumour now. Yeah, we most certainly are. It's only a couple of days into it, but hey, that's the beauty of it all. It's always exciting to see who you're linked with, who's going to come in, and you try and kind of piece the various things together, and hopefully chase things down and see who's coming in, Ryan, who that new manager will be, get to the bottom of it all. Players coming in, players leaving. It's going to be a hectic summer, but that's the way we want it, isn't it?
That's a positive and negative anticipation, I would say. Negative in the sense that you don't know how it's going to work out, but positive because it'll be somebody new. It's someone new coming into the club. There'll be new players coming in off the back of that. So it's exciting regardless, and sometimes change is good. I know it's difficult to say that because we've had it so good under Postecoglu the past 2 years, but change can be good. So we'll see how that transpires.
Derek Crawford saying to JJ McGavry, bang on with that statement, and Celtic supporters need to stop watching Sky News as well. Guys are saying he wishes that Celtic had the bragging rights cup in the cabinet as well. So there you go. It's they don't lose their sense of humour, the Celtic fans, Ryan, despite what happens. Ex-manager Ange Postecoglou is gone. We await the new man coming in with bated breath, and we hope that it's an appointment that's box office and ticks a lot of boxes and appeals to the fans. But even if it doesn't, Celtic fans will get right behind them anyway, give them a chance and see where the club goes under the new man, whoever that may be.
Yeah, that's it. As Celtic supporters, we're faithful through and through, regardless of who's in charge. And we'll just see what happens. It's going to be an exciting summer, and I just hope we get some concrete names sooner rather than later.
Yeah, correct. I will. Don't just you wait until Lennon is unveiled and see as a whole thing. That's I think you can safely say that won't be happening, will it? Right.
No, he's ruled himself. He's ruled himself out of the job. So you can't go back on your word now. I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. I don't think that'll be happening again. I think questions would be asked if that was to happen again. But I think we're past that stage now.
Megan Horn's convinced that Kyogo won't leave for Spurs. What remains to be seen. And Paul says he can take Maida if he wants.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he will. He's got Heung-min Son. So I don't think he'll be taking Maeda. I think Heung-min Son's a better player than Maeda, unfortunately.
Well, there you go. Well, there's 46 minutes, Ryan. It's going to keep, as I say, Groundhog Day. But day 4 tomorrow of more speculation. It's never not a dull business, is it? We enjoy it. We love the community that come in and give us their comments as well. We like to hear from them. That's why we try and flash up as many comments as possible. If I didn't do your comments today, I'll try and get them tomorrow. They just come in thick and fast, and you're also trying to scan it and make sure that they're all printable, readable, and publishable. So, but you're all a very knowledgeable and excellent crowd, but there is the odd ones that slip through, so we try and monitor that as well. Troubleshoot that, don't we, Ryan? Can be hard.
We do. We do, but we need to keep it. We need to keep the comments a lively place, but lively in the right way.
Yeah, correct. I mean, guys, hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Whatever you're up to, if it's sunny where you are, enjoy the weather. Myself and Ryan will go and try and see if we can find out who the new man's going to be. Des Harkin comes in. Thank you, Des. Good work again, boys. Love your dedication. That's very, very kind. Des, thank you. Kirsty O'Connor, thanks, Kirsty. Excellent show, boys. We'll be with you all through the summer, so you know where to come. 10 o'clock on the dial. Come on to the Celtic Way. And if you fancy subscribing to the website and get unlimited access to everything that's on it, you can. And you can support top quality football journalism, which we endeavour to provide, covering the club you love. And all you have to do is click that button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We'll be back again tomorrow.
Same time, same place.
As Derek Crawford reminds me, 10ish, Tony. Yeah, 10ish. Well, we have to have some kind of air of professionalism, that we don't just fall out of bed and turn up and talk. You know, we like to think that we do a bit of research. You know, to give you guys the show that we feel that you deserve. All right, Hazel Finn, well done, boys. That's very, very kind. As I say, can't do it without you guys. That's why we enjoy the toing and throwing and the banter and the comments that come in, and that's why we respect you so much, and we thank you for your subscription as well. It means a lot to us, as you can see. Ryan, thanks for your contribution again. First class, always is. Always enjoy it. And yes, we shall see you all tomorrow, 10 o'clock-ish. Take care. All the best.
Thanks,